What if I told you that some characters in The Mentalist represent one of the 7 deadly sins? Not just the killers, I'm talking about the ones we root for. Because beneath the charm, the justice, and the red smiley faces, this show is about human weakness. I just thought it would be a fun video to make, so let's get into it. Pride isn't confidence, it's the need to be above everyone else, to play God. And if there's one character in The Mentalist who embodies that, it's Red John. Everything he does, every cryptic murder, every message left behind, isn't just about killing. It's about proving he's better than everyone. Smarter than law enforcement, smarter than Jane. Red John doesn't just kill, he performs. He wants his victims and his enemies to know it's him. That's the sin of pride. And it's not just evil, it's theatrical. But let's be honest, Patrick Jane deserves an honorable mention. He's charming, he's clever, but his pride is what got his family killed. He mocked Red John on national TV, thinking nothing would happen. And even after losing everything, Jane still acts like he's the smartest man in every room. Red John and Jane are mirrors of each other, both driven by the same sin. One uses it to destroy lives, the other to avenge them. Sam Bosco was a good man. Honest cop, did things by the book. But the second Jane stepped into his world, you could feel the envy. Bosco didn't hate Jane because he was reckless. He hated him because he was right. Jane could do things no agent could. Read people, predict motives, solve murders like magic, and worst of all, Lisbon believed in him, trusted him, and that burned Bosco more than anything. But he's not the only one poisoned by envy. James Panzer, the serial killer from Blinking Red Light, lived off attention. He murdered to feel significant. But when Jane cornered him on live TV and made him look weak, his ego cracked. That envy, to be admired, feared, respected, is what finally made him fall. Envy isn't just wanting what someone else has. It's what happens when you realize you'll never be them. Robert Kirkland is one of those characters you don't notice at first. He blends into the background, just another suit in the chaos of federal politics. But the more you watch, the more you realize this guy is dangerous, and it's not because he's powerful, it's because he's angry. Kirkland isn't driven by justice, he's driven by revenge. Pure, methodical wrath. And the way it's disguised as duty is what makes him terrifying. He tortures people in secret black sites. He manipulates Homeland Security. He even tries to kill Jane. And not for Red John, but for himself. The scariest part is how calm he looks doing it. That's how wrath works in The Mentalist. It's not always rage and screaming. Sometimes it's clean suits, fake smiles, and a calm voice saying, "We're just tying up loose ends." I always found Kirkland fascinating because he thought he was the protagonist of his own revenge story. And in a way, he kind of was. But his need for control, his refusal to let go of pain, ended up consuming him. Wrath isn't always loud. Sometimes it wears a badge, shakes your hand, and looks you dead in the eyes while planning your funeral. I know what you're thinking. Rigby? Gluttony? Feels a little shallow, right? But hear me out. Yeah, the guy's always eating. Burgers, donuts, random snacks during crime scenes. It's a running gag at this point. But it's not just food. Rigby is a glutton for comfort, for love. For a little bit of chaos, he falls for Van Pelt like a teenager in a rom-com, risking his job, their careers, everything, because he just feels too much. He gets into fights, makes dumb, impulsive choices, and always acts first, thinks later. Sloth isn't always someone laying on the couch doing nothing. Sometimes it's a person who has power and just doesn't use it. That's the worker from Blood and Sand, Season 4, Episode 5. She's a state bureaucrat who literally ignored cries for help from a dying island community because what? Too much paperwork? People were being murdered, and she couldn't be bothered. Not even curious. That's the kind of apathy that enables evil. And honestly, I don't think the show gets enough credit for how real that storyline was. Sometimes the villains aren't serial killers, they're people who say, "Not my department," while others suffer. Grace Van Pelt knew what was up. She got so pissed off at her attitude that she spilled coffee all over her desk, and honestly, that moment felt earned. It's one of the few times we see Grace snap, and it says everything about how Sloth can look polite on the surface, but underneath, it's rotten. Tommy Vulkar is greed in human form. A billionaire philanthropist on the surface, but behind the curtain. He has people killed just to keep his name clean. Vulkar isn't out here robbing banks or buying yachts. His greed is colder than that. It's about control, reputation, power. He sees people as disposable, silences witnesses. Hell, even went so far he almost killed a child for his own sake. And what kills me is how calm he is. He doesn't yell. He doesn't gloat. He just makes a call and someone ends up dead. That's next level greed. When you're so rich, so insulated, you start thinking consequences are for other people. Watching Lisbon go after him was one of the most satisfying arcs in the show. Honorable mention, Brett Stiles. Not for money, but for influence. He hoards loyalty, hides behind spiritual enlightenment, and builds a cult where he's the god. That's greed with incense. Vulkar's the face of capitalist evil. Stiles is the spiritual grifter. Pick your poison. Lust isn't just about, the deed. It's about power through desire. It's seduction as a weapon, and no one in The Mentalist plays that game better than Erica Flynn. She's stunning, sure, but it's the way she moves, the way she talks. Everything about her is calculated. She knows how to lower your guard with a smile, how to wrap men around her finger, how to make you want her even while she's setting you up to fall. Erica doesn't chase chaos because she orchestrates it. She uses lust, the way Jane uses observation, as a tool to manipulate. And Jane, you can tell she's one of the only women who ever made him second guess himself. Their dynamic is dangerous, not just flirtatious. She makes him vulnerable, and she knows it. I've always seen Erica as one of Jane's most interesting foils. So yeah, that's how I see the 7 deadly sins in The Mentalist, but that's just me. I want to hear from you. Who would you assign to each sin? Would you swap anyone out? By the way, shout out to this user on Reddit. They are the one I got this video idea from. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing. I'll see you guys in the next video.